Now that we're about 2 months into 2023 and I've had time to really reflect, there are a few things I would like to say. 2022 was the most difficult year of my life to date, and that trend hasn't let up a whole lot in the last couple of weeks. That being said, I will do everything in my power to get 2023 on the right track. If a short update video needs to be had, it will be brief, but community posts will be where the most pertinent information can be found. The road to recovery has been just as difficult as the road to figuring out what the hell was wrong with me was, so this video is going to test my abilities to do this kind of content. I don't have any TA on when I'll be well enough to continue full videos like this, but like I said, this video is going to be a test of that ability.
待ってて。
え? 2022 was a difficult year for me, yes, but it was arguably the best year this channel has had since its inception in 2019, and as I've developed new ways and workarounds when it comes to content creation, I've grown all the same. I hope you all will allow me to continue the success into the new year as well, so I hope you'll consider subscribing. It's free and always will be. I wouldn't be sitting here today typing this up if the channel had just outright died back in August at the peak of my health issues. What happened instead was something I couldn't have predicted. Old videos gained hundreds of new views, shorts gained thousands, and the channel gained more subscribers despite a lull in content. I don't know what some of you guys and girls see in my channel, but this is a community that I hope to bring to even greater heights in 2023. What were the darkest days of my life turned into something I'll never forget and probably never be able to repay. It truly means that much to me. So thank you everyone, old and new, and let's get this show on the road. Spirited Away has been one of the most iconic and beloved movies to grace the screens of millions worldwide, Studio Ghibli going above and beyond as they always have. That being said, I'm going to share with you 8 more things you didn't know about the movie. This video will be a follow-up to my first 8 things video from last July, so if you enjoyed this video just as much as the last one, drop a like, comment, and maybe even consider subscribing. Ikimashou. Number 1. Close attention to detail. It's no secret that Hayao Miyazaki has an incredibly bright mind and that the associated Studio Ghibli has always been exceptionally talented, but have you ever wondered just how true some of the little things in the movie Spirited Away are? Early on, while in the car, Chihiro's father states that he has 4-wheel drive. Does he actually? As a matter of fact, he does. He's driving a signature first-gen Audi A4 sedan with the trademark Quattro, indicating the car does indeed have 4-wheel drive. Now, you may be thinking, okay, but maybe that's just coincidence. To that I say, how about this? Chihiro was written to be a typical 10-year-old, and she behaves as such throughout much of the movie. Notice how she taps the toe of each shoe after putting them on to ensure their proper fit. Furthermore, in a separate scene, when her parents call to her, she doesn't answer until the second time they call out for her, highlighting the typical unresponsive nature of most 10-year-old girls. In fact, the studio even discussed having her not answer until the 3rd call. The whole movie has little moments like these that attribute to not only Miyazaki's own personal experiences, but the studio's as well. Garners a close rewatch now, doesn't it? Number 2. Ma scenes. You know how a lot of anime and movies have these scenes with just peace and quiet, no action, no dialogue, just quiet. Well, it's no surprise to find that Spirited Away has them as well. But did you know they have a special name? If you've seen the movie recently, you might recall there's a scene where Chihiro was standing on the balcony looking out over the water. These scenes are called Ma and make frequent appearances in many of Miyazaki's films. In an interview with Roger Ebert, Miyazaki explains why these scenes are useful. If you just have non-stop action with no breathing space at all, it's just busyness. But if you take a moment, the tension building in the film can grow into a wider dimension. If you just have constant tension at 80 degrees all the time, you just get numb. I know I frequently praise the brilliance of Miyazaki's mind, but it's hard not to appreciate the mindfulness of something like Ma scenes. When there's something happening at every minute of the film, you're bound to get tired or perhaps even lose the intended effect the film was meant to provide. By adding in scenes like the aforementioned, It allows the viewer to take all the various emotions and paint a myriad of colors on the canvas of impression. Not only that, it gives the viewer a break and allows time to take the movie in, plus the added emotional effect. Number 3. Animation using animal analogies. First, allow me to preface with a definition of analogy, that being a comparison of two things. We use these all the time in the English language and are oftentimes used in Japanese using the adjective mitaina, which means similar to, as, etc. Think about it this way. When Haku falls into the boiler room, injured, Miyazaki uses 3 animals to describe the scene. In his dragon form, he clings to the wall like a gecko before he falls to the floor like a snake. When Chihiro feeds him the medicine, the animators used a dog's mouth as reference, per Miyazaki's request, but because no one actually had a dog, the team went to a local vet's office, camera in tow. Imagine the surprise on the vet's face when a team from Studio Ghibli showed up at their door, asking to take a video of a dog's mouth. As you can see, it must have gone pretty well because animal-like is exactly how I would describe this scene.
いい子だから大丈夫飲み込んで
Animation can be incredibly complex and tedious, or it can be fairly streamlined and take minimal time. Of course, it's always best to have a reference because trying to animate something out of thin air, no reference, isn't always ideal. Located on the northeast tip of the island nation, downtown Jiaofun is home to many cultural inspirations, but the biggest inspiration perhaps comes in the way of an animated movie. But not because the movie inspired the city. The packed streets and gorgeous bathhouse may seem familiar to some as they are real-life inspirations for the Spirited Away movie. The various sights and sounds resemble those of the movie as well, and to top things off, Miyazaki himself is said to have visited a popular tea house there, portrayed as the bathhouse in the movie. The city itself sits just on the edge of the northeastern mountains of Taiwan, creating picturesque scenes that can only be described as something out of a Ghibli movie. Hues of golds, reds, and oranges paint the city at night, creating views worth a visit, or 3. Miyazaki must have been so inspired by the beauty of Jiaofun that it doesn't surprise me its real-life setting inspired the main scenes of the movie. Number 5. Shinto References. Shintoism, also known as Kami no Michi, Path of God, is regarded as Japan's indigenous religion and often associated with many gods and nature. The reason Shintoism is relevant to Spirited Away is because of its references. Early on in the movie, Chihiro is seen next to a small stone statue, covered in moss and dead leaves. This little statue was actually modeled off the roadside deity and protector of travelers, Dao Sojin. This deity would often have statues placed in villages or at crossroads to indicate the right direction. Interestingly enough, these same statues can also be seen in another Studio Ghibli film, My Neighbor Totoro. The reference of nature and kami, god or gods, is a unique one and isn't lost in the Spirited Away film itself. There's an entire article on this in the Shinto and kami representations in Studio Ghibli movies, but it doesn't seem to exist in an easy-to-find place, unfortunately. The writers, however, seem to believe that the kami live among humans and that they have not been altered or destroyed by humanity. Nature seems to be a common representation in Ghibli films, and I can't wait to see if these references persist into Miyazaki's final film coming this summer. Number 6. English editions. So here's an interesting one. In order to help overseas audiences understand some of the nuances in the Japanese version of the film, the English dubbed version included some extra dialogue. Some of these scenes are Chihiro narrating what she's seeing or doing. Since she's not on screen during some of these ad-libs, it's easy to add in these narrations to help explain certain parts of the movie. However, Miyazaki has expressly stated that these Ghibli films should be watched in their native language. One other example is when Chihiro discovers the bathhouse. To American viewers, it may not be inherently obvious that's what she's looking at, but to a Japanese viewer, it's quite a bit more apparent, so the line, "Oh, it's a bathhouse," helps to explain this.
It's a bathhouse.
In an interview with John Lasseter, Miyazaki explains what it was like bringing a Japanese film to an American market. There are a multitude of questions that some people might find interesting, so I'll have that interview linked at the bottom of the description. The idea of ad-libbing is kind of interesting when you consider the whole sub versus dub argument, but I don't personally think it's a bad thing. Of course, Many Americans don't try to understand other cultures from other countries, so a Japanese building with Japanese writing would likely confuse a fair number of people. Still, I think this can be done in moderation depending on the movie and who's doing the dubbing. Number 7. The closing song was meant for another film. Always With Me by Yumi Kimura was originally meant for another Ghibli film, but after hours of listening to the song, Miyazaki ultimately chose it for the ending song to Spirited Away. It was meant to be used for a scrap project, Rin the Chimney Painter, but the film never saw the light of day and the song was instead used during the end credits of Spirited Away. It's a beautiful, emotional song filled with the love that only the soundtrack from a Studio Ghibli movie can bring. The English lyrics provide a sense of longing, but also a feeling of finding what was once lost. Two themes that accurately portray the plot of the movie. An orchestral version and vocal version of the song are available on YouTube. And Japan is the country that really seemed to kickstart adding a song at the end of an animated work, and it's paid off in kind. Look at the popularity of many ending themes from a multitude of different anime today. Countries like China that also produce their own anime have followed suit. The rise in non-Japanese anime becoming more and more popular. Maybe one day we'll see the anime market in other Eastern countries have as much of an impact on the world as Japan's, especially when you consider the studio that brought us movies like Spirited Away and Grave of the Fireflies. Number 8. Chihiro's American voice actress. This one may come off as a bit of a shock, as the two fields don't oftentimes intersect like this, but the English voice actress for Chihiro may sound familiar to those who have seen the American cartoon Lilo and Stitch. Dave Chase also voiced Lilo in Lilo and Stitch. However, her most notable role is Samara in The Ring, so she's had a fair bit of voice acting. Not only has she played the protagonist's role, she's had several roles as the antagonist, which is kind of wild when you think about how innocent the roles of Chihiro and Lilo are. Nevertheless, she rose to fame rather quickly, and her role in Spirited Away likely helped propel her career. Similarly, Haku was voiced by James Marsden, who's also had quite a bit of experience. Normally, English voice actors in the anime industry don't lend their talent to American-made cartoons. Some do, but most don't, which is what makes Dave Chase a unique case. But then again, this was the early 2000s America, where animated works from Japan had yet to fully grasp the westernized economy of the States. Alright, I hope you enjoyed an additional 8 things about Spirited Away you might not have known. Like last time, all articles and sources will be linked down below at the end of the description, and you can go check those out there. There will be a link to the My Anime list and any list pages for the movie, as well as any interviews included in the video that were on screen or talked about. My first 8 Things video did exceptionally well, and still continues to draw new viewers today, so thank you to everyone for that, and I can't wait to be back at 100%. I have so much planned for the new year, and I'm excited to get everything in order to begin what should hopefully be a fun year. So, thanks for watching, and thanks for a great 2022 on the channel, guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you all later.